It's so interesting because when we think about Stoics, right away we imagine Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who wrote Meditations. We imagine Seneca, one of the richest men of his time, as well as a statesman and a playwright. We imagine Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential philosophers of all time. And during his reign, he traveled all over the provinces to make sure that the administration worked properly. Yet even though he had the opportunity to step away from Nero and survive, he stayed close to him until the very end, trying to guide him on the right path, which ultimately didn't work out. He was born into slavery. His mother left him, and his father was almost completely blind. He also had a really difficult childhood. His father died when he was still a kid, leaving his family poor. If you ask me, I would say the reason why Stoics win lies in their mindset, the way they interpret events, the way they perceive the world around them. And then Zeno started his own business to support his mother and his siblings. But unfortunately, his business failed because of a fire. Everything in life happens for a reason. It serves some kind of purpose, whether we see it or not. And that's where our focus should be. Epictetus once said, "Don't seek to have events happen as you wish. There are the things we can control, and there are the things we can't." The first type is the one who complains and blames others. So if we want to be successful in life, if we want to win, we must learn to detach ourselves from external events. We need to realize that our happiness and well-being depend on our decisions, on the way we choose to interpret things, not on what happens. And we let go of the things we can't. That's when we become truly free. And it will allow me to reach more people with Stoic ideas. That's when we gain inner peace. And that's why we win, as Marcus Aurelius says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This person tries to hold on to everything that happens, to every little detail. And that's where we should focus on. They get upset by things beyond their control, and they waste their energy on unnecessary things. From now on, whenever something happens, ask yourself this question: does this event depend on me? If the answer is yes, then take responsibility for it. Do your best and don't worry about the outcome. If the answer is no, then don't worry about it at all. Accept it, let it go, and move on. The second type of person is someone who reacts to circumstances by taking action. Now that's better, but it's still not ideal, because while this person can influence events, they're still driven by external factors. The third type of person is the one who doesn't react. They don't resist what happens. They accept it, and they know that everything unfolds the way it should. And that is the best way to respond to challenges, because it helps us focus on what truly matters. But sometimes we mistakenly try to exert our will on things we can't control, and that's where we go wrong. But wish for events to happen as they do, and you will have a tranquil life. You see, in a way, we're like kids who demand that everything goes the way we want. And when things don't align with our expectations, we blame fate or destiny, or we complain about our luck. But the truth is that events happen according to a natural order. They're simply unfolding the way they're supposed to. And our task isn't to defy this natural process, but instead it's to understand it and to adapt ourselves to it. That's exactly what the Stoics try to do, as Epictetus says. It's impossible for the same thing to both harm and not harm you. It's up to you. Even though Nero persecuted Christians and caused misery across the empire, Seneca still believed that he could be helped and guided in the right direction, and he didn't do it for the sake of power, but instead he did it out of duty. As he said himself, quote, "When you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." So he made sure to use every moment of his life to do good things for the empire. And then we think of Zeno, who founded Stoicism, and he was a merchant who survived a shipwreck and then decided to start a new life and a new school of philosophy. When we hear that, it is hard to believe that there is any kind of connection between them other than being a follower of Stoicism. But the truth is, if we look at their lives carefully, if we look into their biographies, we can see that the reason they succeeded and why they won was because of the Stoic mindset, because of the set of beliefs and values that they followed. Marcus Aurelius had an extremely challenging job. He was the last of the 5 good emperors, and he inherited this huge empire that was well organized. Seneca also had a very tough job. He was an advisor of Emperor Nero, one of the most infamous rulers in Roman history. What about the one who had the toughest beginnings, Epictetus? And finally, the founder of Stoicism, Zeno. All of them had completely different lives, but all converged to the same ideas. So now the question is, why did they succeed? What was the secret that allowed them to thrive despite all the challenges they faced? As Seneca says, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That's why the first step for any Stoic is to acknowledge their emotions. That's why Marcus Aurelius says, "What doesn't benefit the hive doesn't benefit the bee." The Stoics taught us that our life consists of external events, things that are within our control, and internal responses, the way we choose to react to things. So here's my challenge for you. When we follow this simple rule, when we focus on the things we can control, that's when we focus on having a better life. And one more thing, I would greatly appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, because that will help the algorithm. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends and family. Thank you, and see you next time.